Well, what's up again there, guys? Brian here, the 3 Topics Gamer, and I have a pretty interesting video review to share with you guys today, as I'll be doing my very first retro review for this channel, and I'll actually be going over a game that I very much enjoyed in my younger youth, and that game just so happens to be 2006's Black. This game was very innovative at the time, and I would even say that this game has gone on to have a bit of a cult following despite the fact that this never became a franchise, even though there was definitely some potential that it could be. So now that I really want to start doing retro reviews, I would just figure this would be a great game to kind of start my series of reviews of older games I really have enjoyed in the past and have fond memories of. So if you do happen to enjoy this review by the end, I would really appreciate it if you give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you share and subscribe to keep track of all my future videos. So without wasting any more time, let's jump right into my personal retro review of Black. Black was released in February 2006 for the PlayStation 2 and Xbox and was developed by Criterion Games and published by EA. At the time of its release, Black received favorable reviews on both consoles, as Criterion themselves stated that they want to do for shooters what Burnout did for racing. The primary campaign length is undoubtedly the weakest element of Black, as the game can be completed in under 4 hours on the standard difficulty, giving the player very little incentive to replay the game immediately unless they would like to try the game on a harder difficulty. The primary story that runs through Black is fairly simple, as you take control of Black Ops operative Sergeant First Class Jack Keller as he's being interviewed 4 days after the events of the game, going over each mission that he took part in as he hunted down an American terrorist named Lennox. He explains what his missions were, who he was working with, and the terrible things he did and saw while he was hunting Lennox. The game's cutscenes are shown in a live action style, and while the performances from the 2 primary actors you will see aren't bad, it really is nothing special, but it does get the job done. Gameplay-wise, Black is a straightforward first-person shooter that has 8 missions, with the primary objectives being mainly to progress through each mission and kill anyone that gets in your way. However, on the hardest difficulty, you will have to complete extra objectives like collecting intelligence documents or map blueprints in order to complete the mission. You will be allowed to carry 2 primary weapons at any time, along with a few grenades, and the weapons variety is fairly basic for what you would expect to see in a military-based shooter like this, as you've got different types of assault rifles, submachine guns, pistols, shotguns, sniper rifles, RPGs. You want it, this game's got it. One element that really helps Black be a memorable game for me and others are the visuals. This game was probably one of the most visually impressive looking games that came out during that time, and I still think that this game looks pretty good even after 15 years. The amount of detail on each weapon is so impressive that your character will automatically inspect a new weapon when they pick it up for the first time. An original feature that was created for Black was the inclusion of a real-time blur while reloading, giving an impressive level of depth of field to the game. When it comes to health, there is no regenerating health this time, and you're using a standard green bar for your health bar that requires the player to find health boxes in order to heal, and you are only permitted to carry up to 3 health boxes at any one time. When your health drops below 2 bars, the screen will turn black and white, with the sound of the player's heartbeat being the primary sound that you will hear, and while this is happening, the game will go into a more slow motion mode. There is a heavy focus on the sheer amount of destruction that you can cause, as Criterion Games worked really hard to make each mission as destructible as possible. Bullets can cause holes in walls, explosives can pack a real punch and destroy entire sections of buildings, throwing all kinds of dust into the air, creating an impressive visual that not many games use. The sound effects for each weapon were taken from various sounds heard in popular and recognizable films. The soundtrack for Black is fairly standard, with nothing really standing out to me, but it does do the job of fitting the theme that Black as a military-based shooter is going for. It is, however, surprising, though, that with such an impressive looking and sounding first-person shooter that Black is, that a multiplayer mode was never created, as the destructive, chaotic nature that Black projects would have worked perfectly for an online play mode, which would have given it a much higher level of replayability and a level of intensity gameplay that even Call of Duty at the time couldn't have matched. There was really a lot of potential for Black to continue on as a franchise, and even the main story hinted at this. It's just unfortunate that EA did not have much faith in a follow-up, despite Black being one of the most impressive first-person shooter games that was released during the 6th generation of console gaming, and receiving rather positive reception from critics and selling well between the PlayStation 2 and Xbox. I do believe that first-person shooters that were developed after Black would have taken tiny bits of inspiration from Black and incorporated it into their own games. And while most may have forgotten about this game, and even more may never play it, that still doesn't stop Black from being one of the most fun and memorable first-person shooter games that I've ever played. So now that we have all of that out of the way, how does 2006's Black still hold up today? Well, despite its short-length campaign and pretty much not much diversity in terms of the objectives, I think that Black still holds up as being a very fun game to play if you can still manage to play it on older consoles. This is definitely a game I would love to stream one day, and heck, I think this could have really benefited during the PlayStation 3 era by adding some trophies. I think that certainly would have added some replay value, which is sorely needed in this game. But that doesn't stop the fact that this is still a very fun game to play. This is a straight up pick 'em up and just start shooting and killing everything in sight type of game. And you don't really get too many modern shooters try to do that at all. They try to be more sophisticated and have a much more deep story. They're not pick them up and just start having fun games. And the fact that it was able to pull things off without a multiplayer, I think is even more impressive, despite having such a short campaign. So if I had to give 2006's Black a rating, I think the highest I could give it is giving it an 8 out of 10. I think 8 out of 10 is a really good spot to give Black. So now that you guys have heard my thoughts on Black, how would you rank it? Or if you played it, how did you enjoy playing 2006's Black? Share your thoughts with me and everyone else in the comments down below. And like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I will catch you next time.